From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One ball, corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, when and where will Kirk Herbstreit go into witness protection after drawing the ire of Florida State fans once again on social media? And 40 good minutes with Brad Johnson, Super Bowl 37 champion. We talk about everything. His time at Florida State, his time in London, and yes, winning a Super Bowl. Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida, cptallybar.com, the website. 2475 Appalachia Parkway, that's the physical address. Top of the hill, go check them out. Lunch special on Wednesday, 5-piece chicken wings and french fries. Sauce of your choosing. Can't go wrong. Can't miss. The wings, fantastic. I would read all the flavor varieties, Corey, but my goodness, there's, I think, probably 20 of them. But not limited to Obi Blend, Mad Dog 537, Carolina Gold, Guinness Barbecue. Wow, they got some exotic. I'm just a Buffalo medium guy, Corey. I'm just a Buffalo medium guy. But variety of plenty for you over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Check them out. And don't forget, tomorrow night, bingo, 7 o'clock, win money, Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Have you tried any of those exotic varieties of chicken wings, Corey, at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill?
No, I have. I've tried the garlic parm, which is good. Stephanie gets that. She also gets, I can't remember the other one she gets that she really likes. But no, man.
Mango habanero?
I'm pretty boring mild, but it doesn't matter. Any flavor you got, it's good. I can't remember the other one. Gosh darn it. I will before the end of the show.
Teriyaki heat, lemon pepper, honey mustard, Carolina Gold, sriracha
Carolina
honey.
Gold. Carolina Gold. Yep,
Boom.
That's a good one.
Boom, there we go.
Yep, had it. That's a good one. They're all good. I shouldn't say that. That makes it sound like other ones aren't. But Carolina Gold's the one she's had that she also really, really likes.
Less than 30 days until matrimony, huh?
Counting down. Who's counting, though, Aslan?
Who's
counting?
It's a life together, man. It's just going to be one day after another. One day better than the next.
Stephanie's downstairs. She just heard me talking. It's actually the lemon pepper to go along with the Carolina Gold. She does not do garlic parm. I've done garlic parm and really like those, too.
There we go. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Won't you hit the thumbs up if you're listening to us on YouTube, maybe 5-star rating and review. Oh, I should have had a podcast review up to list off, but I don't. I failed everybody, and I apologize. Corey, how are you, man?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, good. We got a good, strong show in the middle of a somewhat slowish week when you're talking about college football. Really good interview with Brad Johnson. That's fun, everybody. So stick around for that one. It's like almost 40 minutes.
Long, yeah. Thanks for him for giving us a lot of time. That was great.
We could have kept going, too, I feel like. He was in no rush. So we appreciate him taking time out. He is a very beloved person in the Florida State circles. Maybe not as beloved. This happened a couple days ago, but we haven't spoke since. I'm with you guys. I'm on your side. I don't have a pitchfork or a torch, but I'm on that side of the fence when it comes to all this. I don't want to say I feel bad for this guy. I just wonder what's going through his mind. Kirk Herbstreit the other day, Corey. I think you guys talked a little bit about this on Headlines, I guess. Yeah. 4-page thread on the Tribal Council. Yep. Kirk just out of nowhere. I don't know, man. The Hornets' nest was all right, man. Like the nest is being rebuilt. DJ Uyunglele is here. Lola Lahea is here. Like everybody's here. Malik Benson, we're rebuilding the nest. We're all right. We're worker bees. We're making everything go. And then he tweeted it. He X'd again, saying, no matter how hard this lunatic fringe portion of the
I would suggest you to go scroll down his page, because it starts. I can tell you how it started, which is funny actually.
Oh, there it is. Those are all. Here are all the. Oh, all the.
Yeah, there's all the quote tweets. He went on a rampage. So what happens is somebody tweeted out a
Steve
picture
Young,
of Montana.
Joe Montana. Yeah.
Somebody did a video of Joe Montana. Throwing a touchdown, I don't know, against somebody. They won 7-3, something like that in the playoffs. And then Herbstreit goes, could watch Joe Montana all day, poetry and motions, talks about Joe Montana. So obviously, like I told you guys would happen, every time he tweets about football, there are going to be dozens upon dozens of Florida State fans tweeting about him about whatever he just tweeted about and turning it back to Florida State. So TQ says, what are your thoughts on Steve Young as his backup? Should they have canceled the season when he came into the game for Montana? Hashtag hypocrite. And then Herbstreit has roly smiley emojis, and that's it. And then just after that, it just starts. It starts going on and on.
What is he doing? Somebody at
Exactly.
ESPN take the phone away from him.
Well, that's the problem. Is like, why does he? And I said this on headlines. Like, I don't even know what I have. Let me look how many Herbstreit has. Kirk Herbstreit has 1.7 million followers. Yeah. I have like 40,000, 43,000 or something. That's too many for me to even look in the notifications because I don't want to spend all day arguing with people or reading something not flattering about myself. So I'll tweet, and very, very rarely do I look at my notifications just because I don't want to be drawn into something because I know my personality. And Kirk Herbstreit has 1.7 million followers. And yet he's rolling into those notifications, deep into them, looking for any sort of grievance that he can quote tweet back and make fun of seemingly make fun of the Florida State fan and argue with the Florida State fan because they still haven't forgotten what happened 3 months ago. But read that. So it's a bunch of people calling him a clown, a picture of him with a clown nose on it, him retweeting that, saying, but you're the one that follows me, blah, 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 I'm a corporate shill, LOL, all this nonsense. But do read that last tweet, the one where he kind of wraps it up and stops retweeting everyone.
No matter how hard this lunatic fringe portion of the FSU fan base tries, I refuse to hold this against the Noles and their real fans. Been a fan of Nole teams since the early days of Bobby Bowden in the early 80s and will continue to respect that brand and its tradition for as long as I'm covering college football. See you in Ireland week 0.
So,
oh, Kirk.
It's just not. And I talked about this on headlines. I just hope he doesn't think he's going to roll into a Dublin bar the Friday night before the game or the Thursday night before the game, whenever he gets there, or the hotel bar, and think that he's going to be welcomed by the real Florida State fans. What does that mean? Because the real ones are pissed off too, man. And again, there's not going to be any violence. There better not be. There shouldn't be. That's way, way, way above the line. And look, he is a big dude. I would not kind of warn you guys about trying to get into an altercation with him. You don't need to if you guys are listening. I mean, I get you're mad, but man, I'm not saying he needs a bodyguard for personal security. I don't think it'll get like that. But he is not. Imagine we're at the Dublin booster party the night before the game and Kirk Herbstreit walks in.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, no way.
It's going to be nothing but boos. He would be booed so much he'd have to leave. And those, Kirk, are also real Florida State fans. They're in Ireland. They traveled across the flippin' ocean to go watch the game. So I don't know that he thinks this is some small sect of Twitter that doesn't speak for the whole fan base. Now, look, I'm sure that he gets tweeted a bunch of just awful stuff. I get that. Those are the lunatic fringe. But the people that just telling him he's wrong or making fun of his thoughts on, Joe Montana and Steve Young, those are real fans too. And he's in. It's an interesting situation that he keeps doubling and tripling down, and even responding to it. But he does. So that's what I don't understand is why even look? Why even respond? It just brings more and more hate towards you. And the hate might be a strong word. No, it's not.
It's apropos.
For how he handled himself, people hate the way he handled himself for those 2 weeks. Well, man, you brought it on yourself. So don't do something that completely diminishes the program that these people cheer for because they lost one player, and then get upset when they get upset with your opinion. You're allowed to have an opinion. People are allowed to disagree with your opinion. That's how interactions work. And Kirk Herbstreit, here we are in the early February. We are 2 months removed now from it?
Barely, yeah.
And he's still egging it on. It's just bizarre.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel uncomfortable now. I feel I'm being empathetic almost to him, which I maybe shouldn't be. I probably understand what he's feeling, and I feel bad.
But
for
what?
him.
But you don't retweet people that tweet you nasty things.
No.
Because all that does is bring more people out that are anti-Aslan, and they're everywhere. Everywhere I go in Tallahassee, I bump into people that
shake
are
a
anti-Aslan.
tree, falling out of them.
So that's I'm not saying you can't feel. Well, I mean, look, he brought it on himself because his opinions were not. They were just.
But
not
they're
justifiable.
opinions, though, man. Imagine if he actually was on the committee. Like almost,
Right.
he needs to dox the committee members. Like, here's their Twitter handle, here's their phone number.
But I think
Text them.
the people think that he has
Such sway.
He has
Yeah.
influence and sway over that committee, and I don't disagree. He also says that nobody watches more live college football games than him, which Tom Lang has always been bothered by him saying this. When people bring up his credentials and how would he know who the best team is? And he said literally, he tweeted it, nobody watches more college football than me. He said, I watch 11 to 12 live football games every week. And Tom Lang's point is, well, that's just a flat-out lie. You don't, because you're calling a game on a Saturday. You're also calling an NFL game on a Thursday. So let's say you watch the Friday night game, which, okay, sure. I'm sure you're dialed into Syracuse and Virginia on a Friday night. You're watching every down of that. You're certainly not watching every down of Georgia Tech when you're calling the Florida State game. You can't. It's physically impossible to watch. Now, he could say he goes back and watches them on tape, but he keeps making a point of saying, I watched them live, which is just bizarre because he doesn't. That is a lie, and it's a provable lie. And it's not a misspeak because he's tweeting it, and he continually tweets it. It's like, buddy, you are not watching 11 live football games a weekend. That's impossible mathematically with the job you have. So, I mean, maybe he's talking about having 6 going at one time, but does that really count as watching them live? That's like when I'm at Corner Pocket on a Sunday. I guess you could say I'm watching those 9 NFL games that are being played at once live, but I'm really kind of dialed into the Browns or the Falcons. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. But like he could earn a lot of credit back, number one, if he ever gave any. Like, other than saying, I get it sucks for you guys, but if he could ever, like, state the other side and say, look, I agree, I see what you're saying, but that Florida State was more than Jordan Travis, and those wins should matter. I just think that Alabama was better, blah, blah, blah. But he doesn't really do that, and then the biggest mistake he makes is he keeps interacting with them. Yeah. Like, why look, Aslan? If you had 2 million followers, would you look at your notifications?
No, absolutely
Why
not.
Is he?
I don't know, man.
That's weird, right?
Well, I guess he's thinking that it should be done by now. But to your point, I guess he still does tweet. Nope. You don't look at it, but maybe he wants to see how people are engaging because he's talking about stuff that has nothing to do with Florida State.
Right.
So he wants to see what people are, like, hey, like I want to talk about this Stanford thing or something, So let me see what people are saying in regards to it. And it's just 2 months every single day of, hey, our backup quarterback, like it's constantly that, man. Like it's that no matter what. Like, yeah.
Well, I told you, it's like with the, I compared it to the Taylor Swift fans going after Kim Kardashian. Like every time she posts something on Instagram, every single thing, and that's her whole life. That's how she built an empire. All these Swifties just respond with snake emojis to everything she's saying. She could be holding her newborn baby in the hospital, and it's going to be hundreds, thousands of fans just sending snakes to her because of whatever their stupid, kerfuffle was. So that's never going to stop. And Herbstreit needs to realize this ain't stopping anytime soon. And I don't know what he's expecting in August. I don't know what kind of reception he thinks he's going to get from Norvell, how any of this is going to work. I just hope it's certainly not going to be a fun game day set for him. Wherever they are in Dublin, although I guess they'll be in the stadium. They won't be downtown, so that'll help. But his interactions with the real Florida State fans, these are real Florida State fans. And they're mad because the stuff you said was stupid. And they all agree with it. And so, anyway, a lot of people asked this if we'd ever have Herbstreit on the show. And Ira said he didn't think he could pull off the interview. Jeff said maybe.
Why couldn't he pull off the interview?
Because he'd get so mad. Oh. That he'd get so mad at him. He'd have a hard time keeping it professional. Remember, Ira hit Ira pretty hard. Now, you were with him. Yeah. So, and I said
he was fine. He was fine. He really was. He was.
But the one thing I would say that I said this on headlines, so I'm going to repeat myself. I apologize, folks. But that if I would say we should do a sit down with him at Ruby Diamond, like a night with Corey and Kirk, hashing it out. For now, obviously he wouldn't do that. But the one thing I would have, the biggest problem I would have would be I would ask him, because I brought this up, if Alabama doesn't complete that pass against Auburn on 4th and 31, do they deserve to be in the playoffs ahead of Florida State?
No, they're at 2 losses.
Right, but so then you're saying, Kirk, that record does matter. Either you think they're the best team regardless of whatever it says in that L column, or you don't. So you keep talking about how you're tasked with figuring out the 4 best teams. Okay, well then Alabama, whether they completed that pass or not, in your eyes is better than Florida State. That's one play out of 1,000 football plays this year. They complete that one, and they're better than Florida State, and if they don't complete it, they're not. So do you see how that seems kind of subjective and not really it's not a real measurement? And I would want to see what he actually said about that. That's all. And that's where I might have a hard time like letting him continue to talk depending on what he said.
So when I was in television in Mississippi, just there was nothing going on, and I had to do a 3.5-minute sportscast, but there was nothing going on. There was like no basketball games that day. Football was not starting spring. There was just nothing.
Can I ask you? So when you did the television in Mississippi, in Montana, and I guess Dothan too, or were you just
represent,
yeah,
Dothan, yeah.
So those the commercials they have for you guys, like the 5-second, and Aslan was sports.
Right.
This is your story. This is your
You're
action
watching
news team.
Right.
And they put y'all all on the screen together.
Yeah.
What was your pose? Did you have like a pose? Like did you kind of look into the camera and point, or did you like put your shoulder to the camera and kind of look over your shoulder at it? What would you do?
We didn't do a lot of those. Every other station did, and that made me upset because funny enough, more people probably saw me record teases, which is like the 10-second thing you'll see during Wheel of Fortune, where it's like,
right,
like a big bombshell for the Ole Miss football team. We'll tell you all about that. It's 10 o'clock. Like more people saw that than ever watch like a 10:27 p.m. newscast. But we did a couple promotion stuff. But yeah, I was like, I'm off to the side because it's the 2 main anchors, and then the weather guy like flanked to one side, and I'm flanked on the other side. And I'm just smiling and trying to look telegenic with like my arms crossed in front of myself or whatever. So there was no like, all right, like look, everyone look down and look up now and stare into. There's no
like an Anchorman.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of that.
Okay, all right, just making sure. Anyway, go ahead. So when you were in TV in Mississippi.
I will remember this as long as I live. And I probably mentioned on the show once or twice before, and I apologize. But something happened. It was the headline on ESPN.com, which was like the default, like what's going on in the national world. Because like the 6 o'clock newscast, old traditional thinking, you probably have some stay-at-home spouses, watching it. So you're like, all right, we can probably throw some national stuff in there that's of interest so they can talk about it with their spouse when they come home from work or whatever. And like the lead headline, even on ESPN.com that day, was something about Sam Hurd, who I think had left the Cowboys, went to the Bears, and was involved in like drug trafficking. That was the lead story on ESPN.com for like 2 hours. And like it was a pretty salacious story. There was all these crazy details about him like making deals and like in the parking lot of like, and that's all I had. And I had no sound bites. I had nothing. And I went and talked about it for like a minute and a half on the screen with like 2 graphics and maybe 20 seconds of B-roll. And I was so ashamed of myself. I'm like, what a failure I am that I just made my audience have to watch this nothing burger of a story. And then we just talked 15 minutes about bullying Kirk Herbstreit, and it just took me back to that. Took me back to that spot.
I feel like at least this has something to do with the people listening to it. For all we know, they're tweeting it. The people listening to this are tweeting it.
They still probably are. They still probably are.
So, but look, it's just not going away, and there needs to be. What brought it up initially on headlines was I was like, because we were talking about Braden Fisk, and I asked them who they thought the third player would be, and then how many guys would be drafted, and I said, "Man, do you think Corey Clark might tweet something if Florida State has more guys drafted than Alabama?" Do you think there's any chance Corey Clark might point that out to
lots
some
of
people?
engagement? Lots of it. Would you tag him though? Would you tag him?
No, because I hate that. I about said a bad word. I hate that stuff. Like, no, if he wants to see it, he can see it. I'm not gonna pick a fight with poke a bear with someone. I just hate that stuff. I hate when all of you folks, and I shouldn't say all of you because we're all the same.
He loves you. He loves everybody.
But like there are people that like if I say something that is insulting to, I don't know, man, I'm just making something up, a figure skater. Somebody will retweet that figure skater. Tweet at that figure skater and say, "Hey, this is what Corey Clark thinks about you," and it's like, "Come on, man! What are you? What are you, a narc? Are you the cops?" Give me a
Dude,
break, man.
People would do, like, somebody would say something bad about me on Twitter, and then somebody would tag me in that to, like, let me know. And I'm like, hey, man, awesome. Like, I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. Like, what do you want? Do you want, like, a plastic badge to be a deputy on this case there, Buckaroo? But, yeah, people are out there not knowing how to use social media all these years later. So,
well, just, I don't want to intentionally look like I'm provoking someone. But trust me, I will make it a point to bring that up, even if it's relatively close. If Alabama has 10 and Florida State has 9, I might say, wow, look at that. And look at all these guys that were drafted before the quarterback got drafted. The one-man team, they couldn't compete because they didn't have their quarterback that got drafted in the 6th round, but they had all these dudes drafted before him. And I hope Jordan gets drafted before that. I'm just saying that's where he was mocked to go in one of these way too early mock drafts. But, yeah, I just think that will never go away. That's just – Braden Fisk is awesome. He's good. Really good. He's going to be drafted high. So is Jared Verse and Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson and Jaheim Bell and Trey Benson, Ronaldo Green, Kalen DeLoach. They're all possible draft picks. And they were not just Jordan Travis. And it still bums people out.
What's the number?
The reality is this. I think that even if Jordan Travis was healthy, they would have found a way to get the two SEC to get Alabama and Texas in.
Yeah. What is the number right now, do we think, of draftees for Florida State? Have you guys kicked that around at all?
Do you think
double digits?
I'm not smart enough. I think so. The definites to me are Verse, Coleman, Fisk, Johnny, Jaheim. That's 5. Trey Benson, I think you have to draft him somewhere. I know running backs aren't all that valuable, but that's 6. Fabian. And then here are the ones that I'm not 100% sure on, but I think certainly will be.
I put Renardo ahead of Fabian personally.
Renardo I think is almost a certainty. Fabian, DeLoach, Akeem, Jarian. I think all those guys could be drafted. Then that gets you to 11. But probably 2 of them will be drafted. I don't know who. So I think you end up with about 9 is what I think. 8, probably 9 is I'd set the over-under at 9.5.
Or
8.5. You're right. I'd set it up 8.5.
I'm trying to find this list. I couldn't find it. But I think Jordan was ranked maybe like the 8th best quarterback, which I was like, man, if you're the 8th best quarterback.
That's right. I didn't even mention him. Yeah, I think Jordan will be drafted, man. Don't you?
Yeah, in a year where, listen, man, like Drake May, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, those guys are all going like in the top 15, right? I mean, like
yes.
2 of the
maybe top 3.
Yeah.
They might all be the first 3 picks.
So, like, in a year where 3 quarterbacks at least minimum are going to go first round, and then, like, Bo Nix, Penix, and they're probably day 2 picks, obviously. Man, if you're the 9th quarterback, I think that he was like the 9th quarterback on this list, which again, I thought On3 retweeted and I can't find it right now. Like, I feel like that means he would probably get drafted by that math.
Yeah, and I think whatever Ira was talking about, he saw a mock draft that had him going like the 6th round to the Steelers. We talked about that. Like the beauty for Jordan right now is, number one, he's not going to be expected to play right away, but he has an injury that's an awful injury. We all saw it. It was not a good injury, but he is not Lamar Jackson in the sense that his last year he was rushing for 1,000 yards. His legs are a part of his game, but he proved that his brain is the bigger part of the game than his legs. I mean, he ran for 150 yards this year. That was not really a big part of his game, and yet he was still really good and a Heisman contender. So I think that helps him a lot, and I think also he's a little bit older. He's very mature. He's a good teammate, and you know what you're getting out of that kid. Good person. He's going to work hard off the field. You couldn't ask for anything better as a backup quarterback. And I'm not saying he's always going to be a backup quarterback, but when you're drafting somebody in the 5th or 6th round, they're not starting for you on day 1. That's not the plan. But you could get him into your system knowing he's going to work hard and he won't embarrass you if he's thrust into action. I would definitely take him. I worry about the physical, like what they find, what they see, and how that worries people. Because obviously he doesn't have the strongest arm and he's not the biggest kid. His legs are kind of what made him stand out, maybe, and it would have made him stand out in a combine setting, but he doesn't get to do that now. So that's the only thing that concerns me. But yeah, I would love for, and I'm a Falcons fan, I would love for the Falcons to draft that kid in the 6th round. There's no risk.
No.
Like, you're going to draft a backup center. Like, nobody you draft in the 6th or 7th round is even guaranteed to make the team. And I definitely think Jordan Travis is worth the shot, man. I think he's proven that he can play football at a very high level.
I'm curious to see if we'll ever get, if there'll ever be reports about what the full extent of the injury was, because we know 99% sure like there was a dislocation of the ankle and then a break of the leg, but there's also ankle ligaments and things of that nature that are also involved. So I wonder how much of that was also damaged, because I mean, like, you'll hear Brad Johnson talk about it a little bit later. Man, he broke his leg, but he came back like in the same season. Like a broken leg is not the end of the world.
He did something to his neck too, right?
Yeah.
He had neck surgery and broke his thumb.
Yeah.
Like he had all kinds of injuries. Yeah, and he came back. That's a really good interview, by the way. I hope you guys stick around. Aslan did some real research. I just kind of
for once
did my own, like, remembering what I remembered from as a kid. Yeah. But you did some real research. I didn't even know he played in the World Football League. That's
I didn't either until I started doing some research on it. So yeah, we're gonna try to get. We've got an in now. We've got somebody with a very robust Rolodex of former Noles, and anytime I've asked him for somebody's number, he's given it to me within 5 minutes, and that person has responded to me. So we got a good thing cooking here.
Well, hey, ask for Jordan Travis. We can get to the bottom of that injury.
Yeah, we would. It was CBS Sports. They've got Jordan 9, Spencer Rattler, Michael Pratt, maybe the only two guys, and J.J. McCarthy, maybe to some extent, some dubious guys.
Who's Michael Pratt?
He's the guy from Tulane.
Oh, okay. So that was another thing we talked about Spencer Rattler, because he apparently had a good week at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think he only threw four or five passes in the actual game, but had a good week during the week. And it's like, man, I mean, he's not going to be drafted high either. I know his measurables are better than Jordan Travis's, but what have you seen from him in actual games the last 3 years that would make you draft him over Jordan Travis? Unless you just don't think Travis has the physical tools to do it. But because Travis, I think Travis is elite in the brain department, in the football speed department, like diagnosing things quickly. He is elite. You don't just turn a ball over. What, he turned it over twice in his last 20 games? I don't know what it was. It was ridiculous. Unless you're seeing things very, very quickly. And use the middle of the field too. I just think I don't think there's a risk there at all to draft him. And I think Spencer Rattler will probably be drafted higher, but he might be drafted so high as he could be called a bust. And I just think that's a mistake. These guys get so in love with measurables sometimes, and not just guys that know how to play the game and play it and don't make mistakes. That's the guy we talked to in this podcast. Brad Johnson, he didn't set the world on fire with his arm strength. He had a nice arm, but it wasn't Jeff George. But he didn't make mistakes, man. And he, I don't want to call him a game manager, but he wasn't. He was. You knew what you were getting out of him. Consistent dude, solid guy, good player, good arm, big size, but not incredible arm. And he played in the league for 12 years. 17 years. Wow, and won a Super Bowl.
He was 40 years old throwing touchdowns at the Cowboys, backing up.
That's crazy. I forgot about that.
Romo.
And he started for half a season at Florida State and got beat out. What a crazy story, man. Just a really neat story.
Yeah, I mean, Spencer Rattler's 6'1", 217, so it's not even like a 6'4" specimen or has like out of this world speed. And to this day, his best season arguably was his, like his redshirt freshman year in Oklahoma, where he ended up getting benched for Caleb Williams. He threw for 28 touchdowns, 7 picks for 3,000 yards. I mean, his first year in South Carolina, 11 touchdowns, 5 picks. Second year in South Carolina, 18 touchdowns, 12 picks. This past year, 19 touchdowns, 8 picks. And he completed
a lot of picks.
Yeah, he completed like 68% of his passes in South Carolina on average. But I mean, that's right around where Jordan was, and he did not, hand the ball over nearly as much as Spencer Rattler. So that is interesting.
And he didn't lose as many games. I know South Carolina played a harder schedule, you could argue, but he didn't lose. I mean, Jordan Travis ended his career on a 19-game winning streak, and 24-2 in his last 26.
What are your thoughts on Carson Beck getting a Lamborghini?
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Why not? Why not? Do you think he gets, like, somebody bought it for him, or he bought it himself? He's leasing it, right?
Yes, I would hope so. I hope he's got a very good economical, fiscal, safe plan in place,
Yeah, sure. I mean, he's the starting quarterback that just went 13-1 at Georgia. He's coming back. Yeah, he should. What's he supposed to ride around in? A Nissan Sentra?
It's a
let him ride around a little bit. I mean, it's a little showy, maybe, for my taste, but, whatever.
What's Kirby thinking? It's a $270,000 car. Atlanta Autos hooked him up on it. I'm sure there's.
I don't know, but like because I live in Atlanta half the time, especially during football season. All I see on my TV during Braves games, during in-between innings, are commercials of Kirby Smart driving in a pickup truck commercall. Driving around Athens.
I love my Ford.
Yeah, all dogs want a Chevy. Whatever it is, it's like, man, I don't care what Kirby thinks. I don't think Kirby has bought a car for himself in probably 25 years.
Yeah.
Maybe 20. He was at Valdosta State when I was, so in the 2000s. So, yeah, since he went to LSU as the DC or to be on that staff, I don't think he's bought himself a car. They all get bought for him. So, I don't care what Kirby thinks.
The caption
Lamborghini's pretty solid, though, man. Lamborghini's pretty sweet.
Well, check it out. I'm sure Kirby does approve because the caption was from Atlanta Autos. Shout out to Carson Beck. Came through and got not the regular Lamb truck, but the hashtag Performante. So it's a Lamborghini truck, like an SUV crossover looking thing.
Right.
So Kirby's probably, all right, that's good. Rugged. All right, my quarterback won't have some
that's right, he's
grit.
A tough kid.
Oh, grit. I bring that up because I thought when we were supposed to speak to DJ, I think they said he was out getting a car. I wonder if can we get our guy a Lamborghini?
Let's see. We'll be in the parking lot. You'll be in the parking lot later on today, right?
Yeah. Who we're going to speak to later today? We should let me see here.
It's a lot. It's a big list.
Jalen Lucas, Marvins Jones Jr., Sione Lolahea, and Cam Davis.
Oh, okay.
Thursday's the big one. Sean Murphy, Earl Little Jr., Jamari Howard, Kai Bates, Charles Lester III. And then Friday we get more guys too.
Oh, no.
We get THC, the ultra cool Tamir Hickman Collins, Landon Thomas, and Luke Cromenhawk.
That's a lot, man. And I love it. Again, I love the access we get to players, but it's like that's a lot. You don't want them to be stale. That's like so we're getting 12 guys in the next 3 days?
Yeah, you better crank out some stories, Corey.
Corey Clark stories coming your way, folks. Get ready.
So, yeah, we'll get Lucas, Jones, Lolahea. Looking forward to talking to Lolahea later today. And I guess Marvin Jones Jr. as well, because I don't think he spoke at all when he was on campus going through it the second time around. So this will be the first kind of glimpse. And then maybe we'll get some clarification on what Jalen Lucas is going to be. They haven't listed as a running back for whatever that's worth, Corey.
Okay, all right.
So, yeah, and we'll get DJ. I mean, shoot, who's left after this? I feel like
that's 12. That's 20. I think we still got another 12 to 14 newcomers to go.
That's crazy. All right, well, we'll do that. But before that, so I'll be ready. I'm going to take my Vitamin Energy Focus. Actually, no, I'm going to take the Mood Plus today. Why not? I'm going to go to vitaminenergy.com. I'm going to put the promo code WarChant BOGO in there. And I'm going to notice that I'm going to put a second item, and that one's free all of a sudden. Crazy. Just because I typed in some letters in the proper format, in the proper order. WarChant BOGO. Vitamin Energy, clinically proven, clinically tested, award-winning, patent-pending, 260 milligrams of all-natural caffeine, no smoke and mirrors, everybody. 260 milligrams, all-natural caffeine, no sugar, no GMOs, just pure vitamins and energy. There's chamomile flower extract, lemon balm extract, passion flower extract, rhodiola rosea root extract, valerian root extract, and 5-hydroxy L-tryptophan. So I think maybe this puts like you in the Thanksgiving chill mood. All in one little convenient shot. Put in the fridge. Take half of it. That's the way I roll. Tropical berry. It's delicious. I like it a lot. Shake it and take it. It's energy with benefits. It's vitamin energy. I'll go to vitaminenergy.com. What was the promo code again, Corey?
WarChant BOGO, Aslan. WarChant BOGO.
All right. Do it, everybody. Sign up for it. We're going to talk to a Super Bowl champion, Brad Johnson, right after this. As advertised, special guests on the program this week, everybody. We're excited for this one. 6-time Letterman, if I'm not mistaken, at Florida State University, Super Bowl 37 champion, Brad Johnson. But as the kids know him now, Big Bad Brad 14 on the internet. Brad, how's life, man?
I'm doing great. Appreciate you having me on your show. Tell some Florida State stories and Super Bowl stories and all the above. So, but life's good, though.
Absolutely. Before we get to that, though, this Big Bad Brad 14 incarnation of your life, this third phase, I guess, chapter, the trick shots. Everybody's got to go check the stuff out on the TikTok. But the one that I saw that blew me away was you behind the backboard, 2 basketballs, 1 in each hand, and you threw both of them over the backboard pretty much at the same time, and they both went in. What is your most impressive trick shot to date so far, would you say, Brad?
Golly, there's well, you know, when people they ask me about that stuff, I tell them 3 things. One time it's first time, first take. That's happened.
Sure,
and
absolutely.
then it's a lifetime of consistent practice, and then it takes what it takes. So some of those things have happened fast. Some of those things, one of them took me 15 and a half hours. It took 7 days of work. And but the one you talk about basketball. So I've gotten into the basketball thing of. It's just me, a tripod camera, and basketballs or football out there. So, so it's just us. I got to entertain the camera, but you also got to figure out how can you get all those shots involved in one little video. And so that was a pretty cool one. It was 2 basketballs into the hole that bounce it off the ground, 2 go in, then 2 over the backboard that go in. So it's pretty wild. And right now I'm working on one that's a sequence. I try to do them in sequence, multiple shots in a row. And I got one right now that's going 5. It's a spin off the finger. It's 2 basketballs at the same time. Go underneath. It's 2 basketballs. It's 2 free throws. And I finish with a kick and a foul shot at the same time. It's wild. So it's a lot of fun. If people haven't seen them, it's true jubilation when they work.
Man, it sounds like you're enjoying retirement.
It's good. Moly. Yeah. I had fun doing them, and hopefully people they get entertained by doing it too. They get a few laughs.
Brad, my name's Corey, by the way. We've never met, but I grew up people that listen to this and watch this know I grew up a huge Florida State fan. And when you were at Florida State, that was kind of my sweet spot as a sports fan. I was like 14, 15 years old, which probably makes you feel pretty old looking at this guy talking about being 14 when you were in college. But I don't think people realize what a good basketball player you were. I mean, obviously you're known for what you did on the football field. You won a Super Bowl. You played in the league for 10, 12 years, 15 years, whatever it was. But, man, you started an NCAA tournament basketball game at Florida State against Iowa. And I just looked it up before we started. You hit all your 3-pointers in that game. You had 11 or 12 points. And if McLeod doesn't foul out with a horrible charge call, you'll probably win that game. So I guess I just wanted to go back to how you did both, how you were able to do both and do such at a high level, because it was just like, again, we talk about Charlie, we talk about Jameis, we talk about these other 2-sport guys. Well, man, you started at football and basketball at Florida State, and they were good at both when you were there. Yeah.
I was very fortunate, very blessed with my career and stuff. And coming out of high school, basketball was my favorite sport. I was a 3A player coming out of the state of North Carolina. Couldn't decide where I wanted to go. On my recruiting visit to Georgia Tech with Bobby Crimmins as the head coach, I went to all his camps as a kid. And I'm sitting there, and he said, "Brad, you got a scholarship to come to Georgia Tech, but what do you want to do?" And I said, "Well, Coach Crimmins, I don't know. That's why I'm here." He says, "Which one do you think you're better at?" He says, "I think I'm better." I said, "I think I'm better at football. In the long run, I'm better at basketball now." And he said, "Brad, do what's best for you in your career." And at that time, he had a guy named Dennis Scott. Mm-hmm. He said, "Brad, you can only play 5. And he's going to be All-American." So Dennis Scott changed my life because I chose to go to play for Bobby Bowden at Florida State. And my first year at Florida State, I was being redshirted on the football team. I went to Coach Pat Kennedy. And so I actually just kind of walked onto the team, played 2 years there, started for, I think, 13 games or so, went to the NCAAs twice. But at some point, I wasn't dunking on anybody. I wasn't defending anybody. And I was more just a shooter. But we had some great teams there. And just fortunate that I was able to play 2 years of basketball there. I got Charlie Ward and I. We actually played on a summer league basketball team at Dade Street with a few other guys. It was probably the most fun I ever had playing basketball was actually with Charlie in Dade Street. But it was pretty cool to say I played both sports. And then obviously there's been, a few other guys that have done that too.
When we look at your career, and I know it's a different era, it's 2 eras ago, really, but like you didn't get to start until your redshirt junior year. I don't know that there's a lot of quarterbacks in this day and age, just because you didn't have the portal at your disposal, and you're living that life now as a dad of 2 really good college athletes. But do you think if you grew up in this time, your career would have turned out differently? Because it's hard to wait, man. At least you had basketball to keep you, I guess, engaged in college athletics instead of just watching who would you have? Peter Tom and Chip Ferguson and those guys. You got to still be a college athlete.
Times were different. They were different. I mean, we used to watch film on VH films. Sure, you know what I'm saying? Sure. So and now it's high. Everything is instantaneous. It's different. And I'll say guys are better players now coming out of high school, because you're used to doing 7-on-7 and throwing the ball a bunch in high school and middle school, and so you're a little bit more prepared. But when I came out of high school, we were asking to be redshirted, like, please redshirt me, because you wanted that time to develop and grow, and just we really didn't expect to play till maybe our third or fourth year. At that time, when I came in, it was Danny McManus and Chip Ferguson and Peter Tom Willis and Casey Webb were together, and Charlie Ward came behind me, and Winky, and it was just a list of players. And but actually my senior year, going into my last year, I actually wanted it. I talked to Coach Richt about, maybe going to the supplemental draft, maybe transferring to a smaller school, maybe going Canadian Football League, or maybe just quitting football in general and going back to basketball. My football and basketball career wasn't that great at Florida State from a performance level. I didn't get to start all those 2 or 3 years in football, but it worked out. And but great for Bobby Bowden and Coach Richt and just the growing up here, and just the competitiveness that took place in practice was incredible, and it paid long dividends for me throughout my 17-year career.
Why didn't you transfer?
Well, at that time, I just said, I'm going to stick it out. And I don't know. I not many people had done that, especially dropping down to another level. Right. I had to drop down to FCS at that time. It was kind of
be eligible, right? To be eligible to play immediately, you would have had to. Yeah.
Yeah. If you went to a Division I school, you'd had to sit out a year. To drop down a level, you could have done that. But then I'm like, my dream's to play here. And I said, if I'm good enough, someone's giving me a chance. Somehow I got into the combine. Somehow, I was drafted by the Minnesota Vikings in the 9th round. The guy that actually drafted me was the guy that recruited me in high school, Jack Burns, who just knew about my story, knew I was kind of a late bloomer, and knew I just kind of had a rough go in college. Just things didn't work out for me. So I was afforded that time, and things just kind of worked out. But, the transfer portal, it's real. And now what's real is, I don't know if I believe in NIL. I believe in collectives. I don't know if people are making money in NIL, to be honest with you. They're making money in collectives where people are just, here you go. It's pay for play. So things are a little bit different now. And it does change things when colleges bring in players and here's some collective money. It changes things, because that's your starter, and that's your starter. And then, I'm not your guy anymore, coach. So it's totally different nowadays than when we grew up.
I think you're a pretty good example, Brad, of the portal being a benefit to the athlete, because, look, man, you started half of 1990, then Casey took over, and they didn't lose again until the wide right. So he was very good, but you were very good. He finished second in the Heisman. Well, I don't know, man. You were a very good quarterback that didn't get a chance to showcase your skills because you were at the same school with another quarterback who was the same age as you, or the same year as you anyway. So in that instance, I do like the portal. Like Brad Johnson, go give yourself a chance to shine at Georgia Tech. Now you're a different quarterback than Sean Jones, but you could have played quarterback at Georgia Tech. I think that's the good part of the portal, is giving guys like you that are very good players. Clearly, you won in the long run. We see what's behind you. You did all right for yourself, but it would have been cool for you to get that senior year to play.
No doubt about it. So I don't blame the portal. I don't. It's another opportunity if a kid needs it, or you don't know what coaches are coming and going a lot more than they used to. Coordinators and who they've given in, to selective jobs and things. It's a different time now. So I think you just got to know when you do leave that you got to have a bird in the hand. You don't want to go out there without just like, where am I going to go? Like, be careful of that. You better kind of know what's the opportunities of the school that you can go to. And so I was it worked out for me to stay, but you go through, Caleb Williams, he just won the Heisman and all that kind of stuff, and Joe Burrow, and the list goes on. So it's worked out for a lot of kids to transfer portal. I hate it for a lot of different reasons, but it does give you a second or third chance.
Two more quick questions I had about Florida State. Then Aslan, I'll allow you to talk. Best player you played with on the football team, best or against, and best player you played with or against in basketball.
Yeah, in football, playing with our secondary, going against, you look over there and you see Martin Mayhew, who was a 14-year NFL guy, won a Super Bowl, and there was Dedrick Dodge, who had a 7-year career, and then there was Leroy Butler, who just made the Hall of Fame, and then, oh my gosh, there's number 2 over there. There's Deion Sanders. So Deion Sanders blows them away for me.
And T-Buck, too. I guess you played with T-Buck.
I played against T-Buck, too, yeah.
But Deion, so you were a freshman with Deion, or was that your first? Okay.
He was a year ahead of me. But
okay.
Deion, to me, Deion was the best ever, especially for me at Florida State. He took away the field. He dominated the game. Incredible NFL player, all the above. So, I will always make way for Deion, prime time. And then the best basketball player I played against, I think going against Louisville, we beat those guys. We won the Metro Conference one year, and Never Nervous Purvis and Purvis Ellison, and then playing against B.J. Armstrong and those guys at Iowa in the championship. Then up in Virginia Tech, Bimbo Coles, who was actually, I think, in the Olympics. And
he was no joke, man.
Yeah,
he was
no
joke, that guy.
Yep. So it's incredible. I got to play against a lot of great players, football and basketball, and just blessed to be able to do that.
Who was the kid at Memphis that had the goggles that would always light y'all up?
Yep, Elliot Perry.
There it is. That's right. That guy was incredible, too.
Yeah, he's up and down the court. The Metro at that time, South Carolina, Virginia Tech, Southern Miss, Tulane, Cincinnati, Louisville, Memphis. There were a lot of great players, underrated players. They're just great players just to get the national attention. But it was a tough conference.
And I assume you'd lock them down, right? When you're on defense, you don't let anybody get by you.
I had 5 fouls to give, So it was it was a fast game. And you just would realize you just can't get your shot off. You don't get to you're not out there like playing horse. You don't get the set shot, and then you got to finish to the hole and rebound the ball. It's an explosive game, but. Yeah, it's a long arms game. I had short arms, short legs. So,
Brad, as Corey mentioned, at Florida State, you get that opportunity to start during the season, and then Casey takes things over. How did you go about trying to continue to improve, even though kind of the writing was on the wall? I've gone to the archives and read some stuff, and I don't know if you're one of maybe the first guys on campus to have a performance coach and Alex Serrano, but what were the kind of things that you did, the goals that you had to try to continue your career, even though you knew things were maybe kind of slipping out of your hands in terms of trying to play for Florida State at that point?
Yeah, Casey and I, we talked about a list of quarterbacks that were there that we're competing with. And then obviously Casey and I, we were best friends. We came in the same year. They told me Casey was going to be a scrawny kid from North Florida Christian. He'll never play there. And they told him I'd be a skinny kid that just played basketball. We were both All-Americans coming out of high school and all that stuff. And so it didn't work out well. I didn't play bad at Florida State. I just never happened. It's kind of weird. I started, 6 games, I think. And they made the move. Casey played awesome, was a runner-up to the Heisman, was #1 team in the country. And, I just felt like, man, it's just a matter of time. And so I had a trainer there named Alex Serrano. He was actually from Chile. He he's a dorm manager. He got his PhD in sports psychologist, and we were close, and still to this day. We did a lot of sand plyometrics, and I don't know if you remember out there where the old volleyball court was. Spent a lot of days in that hot sand at 1 o'clock, and messing balls, sand plows. Everyone said I was too slow and all those kind of things. And then we read a lot of different books, how to control your breathing. And so we knew that there was going to be a moment that was going to come in my time for my career, but it just wasn't happening at that time at Florida State for me. Could not give up. I was going to give myself every chance to go to the combine, to get in the NFL, and then just was afforded to, be ready at the right time when it happens. And so that's what happened. But, a lot of people have horror stories of their coaches and all they have excuses. Like I have even things didn't go well for me. Like had so much respect for Coach Bobby Bowden, so much respect for Coach Mark Rigg, who's now my brother-in-law. He hooked me up with his sister, Nikki. So, it's just a strange, weird story that it was kind of I love going back to Tallahassee, being back, being a Seminole, like just very grateful for my time there, even though my career didn't go the way I wanted to go on the field. And but I've made so many lasting relationships and just a bond with so many players on those teams.
You got that flag behind you, Super Bowl 37. You obviously led the Bucs to that championship, the first in their franchise history, but that wasn't an easy path either. I kind of want to maybe zip through some of the parts of your career, but can you walk us through 1995 and going and playing in the World League for the London Monarchs? Was that something that you thought of? The coaching staff in Minnesota had to allocate you? Did your agent talk to you about it? What was that point like? And were you married? And did you have to move you and the fiance, the wife to London? How did that go?
Yeah, a little all the above. I was 9th round pick coming out of Florida State, 14th quarterback chosen. I was there with Minnesota, Rich Gannon, Jim McMahon, and then Warren Moon. I felt like I was ready to play in my third or fourth year. Like I was ready, but then I was backing up Warren Moon. He's a Hall of Famer. And like, how is it going to happen? And so the World League had taken place back in like 1989, 1990, and then went away. It came back there in 95, and I asked the coaches, like, let me take this. I want to take the chance. So it was the boldest move in my career to go play in the World League. 19 quarterbacks went over there. Only 3 came back. And you hear the success stories of whether it's mine, Kurt Warner's, John Kidna, couple other quarterbacks that went over there and they came back and had success. But, went over to London, got to be a starter, make plays, make mistakes for 10 games. The stadium, I think we had 9 or 10,000 people in the stadium. The end zones were only 7.5 yards deep. And it was the boldest move of my career to go over there and play and put it out there and then come back with the Minnesota Vikings. But my dad always told me, he says, it's better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. So I know I needed that time to go play because I didn't play that much at Florida State. I hadn't played that much in Minnesota my first few years. And so I was thankful for that time to play for the London Monarchs.
So you did it just for game reps, essentially, just to get people coming at you and to feel the blitz and to read a defense and instantaneously. Like that was why you were doing it?
All the above, to go be a leader, to go prove that I could be a starter. And so the hardest part about it, it worked out great for me. Being in Minnesota there for 3 or 4 years, I knew the system. Then I had to go to London and learn a whole new system and then come back because you're missing mini camps, OTAs, and then you start riding for training camp. Well, I already knew the system. A lot of quarterbacks that go over there, they didn't know their system's coming back to an NFL team, hoping to get back.
Right.
So I knew it, and I went as a backup. Eventually, Warren Moon got hurt, and then I ran off with it. But that time in London was pivotal for my career.
Yeah, so you come back and you finally get a team to lead, obviously the Vikings. In 98, there's this rookie from Marshall that ends up being pretty good. You threw 2 touchdowns in week 1, Randy Moss. You end up also throwing the ball to Keyshawn Johnson. But back to London real quick. Was LeVar Ball a teammate of yours? Give me LeVar Ball stories for us.
Man, there's a lot of stories in London. Tell some, save some, don't tell it all. But, I mean, LeVar was on the team, and he was a tight end. And our tight end, the starting tight end was Michael Tiddley. He was great. Came from Iowa, played at Buffalo for a little bit. But LeVar Ball was, man, I was like, golly, who's this big old dude, these muscles? And like, golly. He always said he's going to be famous. He said, I'm going to be famous. Huh. And every day off, he was in France or he was in Spain. Like, I don't know how he got to where he got. Like, it was – and then, I just remember this big guy. He didn't play that much for us. And then, 20 years later, I'm hearing about his kids and, the big baller brand and all the above. So, but a fun guy to be around and kind of fun to hear the stories of him now, what he's done with his kids and all the above.
Do you have any big baller brand shoes?
I do not.
Oh, that's too bad. Ask for some.
I got the BBB Big Bad Brad stuff. That's about it.
Right.
For you, Brad, was it bittersweet? 98, that was 15-1 with the Vikings, and Gary Anderson misses the field goal, and Randall Cunningham gets a big contract after that, and it kind of seems like you're going to have to move on again. But the Commanders now, but the Washington football team, gives up a 1st-round pick, I think a 2nd-round pick, a 3rd-round pick to get you. I mean, was it a bittersweet thing? Were you excited to go work under Norv Turner and see a team invest that much into you and know that, once again, you're going to have a shot to keep a team as a leader?
98 was a crazy time for me a little bit because at the end of 97, I had a major neck surgery. I lost all the hand strength in my arm. Lost everything. You woke
up. So can you – I mean, I don't want to gloss over all this stuff. You just woke up one morning and things just didn't feel right?
Yeah, in 97, at the end of the season, we were playing Green Bay Packers on Monday Night Football. Woke up with a crick in my neck. I couldn't move. I couldn't even drive to the game. My mom drove me to the game. I was playing during the middle of the game, 2nd quarter. The ball was falling out of my hand. It was ugly. They pulled me, got me out of the game. Next morning, I wake up, did a hand test. I had 6% hand strength compared to my left hand. It was unbelievable. Couldn't pick up my hat. It was done. And 36 hours later, I had neck surgery, had to come back, recover from it. Going into that 98 season, started the first 2 games of the year, got hot, threw 7 touchdowns, I think, in the first 2 games, broke my ankle. Missed the next 6 weeks, came back. Game 9, broke my thumb, and then I was out for the season. So that team went 15-1, but it's kind of a blessing in disguise that year because I don't think I could have played with the injury that I had from my neck in '98. And then that's when the move was made. Got traded to Washington. Loved playing in Washington for Norv Turner. Impacted my career big time. I was able to make the Pro Bowl. We won the division there in Washington my first year, and so it was just a change that took place. It was no animosity. It kind of worked out for Minnesota and myself at the same time.
You go to Tampa, and Tony Dungy's the coach, and then you feel comfortable in Tampa. You made the choice to go there, and then John Gruden shows up. Was that like, oh gosh, here we go, a new coach? I'm gonna have to prove myself again. What were the emotions when Tampa made the coaching change going into 2002?
Yeah, and we'd won that. We made the playoffs with Tony Dungy as the head coach. We get beat in the playoffs by Philadelphia. Next day, the day before the playoff game, Tony told the team, he said, "Listen, I'm good." The owner said, "I'm going to be back next year. Let's just go play." We lose the game. He got fired. Like, what just took place? And so it took the owners, the Glazers, about 6 weeks to decide who the head coach was going to be. So they brought in John Gruden. When they did, immediately I called Rich Gannon, who was, the starter at Minnesota with me. And then he played for Gruden at Oakland at that time. And Rich is like, "Dude, I'm ticked because you're taking my head coach, my play caller." And basically, "I'm excited for you, Brad, because he's going to program you in ways that you've never been programmed before as a quarterback, teach you the offenses and defenses on both sides of the ball, and just have you audible ready and all those kind of things." And he said, "You're going to love playing for him." And so Gruden came in. I had my first meeting with him, walked into his office, and it was a dark, like little small cave. It was always dark because he was watching film, and he turned on like a little light, and he said, "Brad," he says, "we're going to win a Super Bowl this year. And we're going to declare war on our defense, the number one defense in the world, Warren Sapp and John Lynch and Rondé Barber. And how's our defense going to stop blast off the joker right X short 22X drive halfback burst? And how's our defense going to stop triple right F right 358 Nebraska X seam?" So what he did, he brought in competitive juices on the offense and defensive sides of the ball, brought in about 15 free agents that year. From Joe Jaravicius and Ken Dilger and Ricky Dudley and Robodoba and Michael Pittman, the list goes on. And so it was really, I love playing for Gruden. It was just a weird exit. You leave Tony Dungy, who had been a Hall of Fame coach and won a Super Bowl with the Colts, and then I got a great coach in John Gruden. So I was fortunate to play for both of them.
We're in Super Bowl week, obviously, and a lot. I was just thinking while you were talking, like Brock Purdy is getting a lot of attention because he was Mr. Irrelevant. He was the last pick. Well, he was the last pick of the 7th round. You, my man, were picked 2 rounds later than Brock Purdy. So you getting to a Super Bowl is really a testament to self-belief and having and self-confidence and hard work and stick-to-itiveness and all that. But I wanted to ask, what is it like? You had, by the time you had played in the Super Bowl, I think you had probably played in 110 NFL games. What is that 10 minutes like before the Super Bowl? Or when you're hearing the national anthem? I don't know who's saying your national anthem, but what are the nerves like? Are they different? Are they crazy? And how do you control them?
Yeah, it's golly, it's you make the hair tingle on my back right now. So it's different. It's different. And so for the guys that plan it to lose, they'll tell you the game's, it's just a big party and it's overrated. The guys that won it, they'll tell you it's the best day of their lives. Yeah. And Celine Dion saying "God Bless America" and the Dixie Chicks saying the national anthem, and Don Shula and Bob Greasy and Larry Zonker out there doing the coin flip, and you're sitting there your whole life. You've eaten popcorn and had drinks, sitting there watching the game, and then next thing you know, you're in that game and the world's watching you. And at that time, there was only 1 week in between the Super Bowl compared to 2. And it's mayhem. When the game starts, it kind of turns into like another game. But as it takes place, and then at the end of the game, it's a little bit different because there's confetti that falls, and it's an incredible moment to be a part of during that game. And actually, at the end, I brought a picture. I don't know if you can see it, but this is the picture after the game when I got to take a picture with John Gruden, and my wife Nikki's 7 months pregnant, and I'm holding my son. She's pregnant with Jake, and then my other son Max, he's 2 years old, and we're saying we're going to Disney.
Oh, nice.
So it's pretty cool to be a part of that game. But Rich Gannon, Jerry Rice, Tim Brown, Bill Romanowski, Charles Woodson, Rod Woodson, like Hall of Famers on both sides of that field. And so it's pretty cool to say you got to play in that game and then to have won it.
And Derek Brooks obviously was one of the biggest stars on that field.
Yeah.
And maybe the best player on the field. But I mean, he was just incredible. He was probably one of the best he is one of the best outside linebackers that ever lived. Well, you were there when he was a freshman.
Yeah.
When he came in all ballyhooed, USA Today Defensive Player of the Year coming into Florida State along with Marquette Smith. What did you think of Derek Brooks when you first saw him?
Derek at that time I think he came in as like a strong safety.
Yeah, he was a safety.
And you can bring in the list of all the guys that came in and, so you signed 20 All-Americans or whatever, everybody's all-state, All-American,
right.
like whatever. Like you really don't think anything about it at that time. All right, here's a new group of young freshmen coming in. And eventually Derek earned his way and he was an All-American at Florida State like he was in high school, then became eventually Hall of Famer in the pros. But I remember he was one with great leadership, great work ethic, and just the same guy he was then as he was now. But he had to find his way as a freshman through sophomore and junior year, then become the man that he became. But that, the stories that can be told at Burt Reynolds Hall, from I mean, it's pretty incredible to list. Just we got this camaraderie back at Florida State back in the day when you lived in an athletic dorm. They had dorm checks, but I remember on Friday nights, guys would be playing checkers or chess, and then all of a sudden, later it'd be a race out there in the parking lot. Who's the fastest? As you see in Randy Moss and Terrell Buckley, and sprinting out there between cars. It was a pretty cool time at that time at Florida State.
Right, I know you're not the czar of college football. I don't know if you have any solutions, but what is your take on the sport? Being a spectator, obviously having two sons that are still playing the sport. I mean, we talked about NIL and collectives, and I guess a lot of us are just kind of told that we need to embrace change and kind of deal with what's happening to the sport. I mean, in your mind, is this the best path forward right now? What this sport is, the track that it's on, or are you hoping that there's going to be some kind of sensible change done to kind of preserve some of the integrity or some of the tradition of the sport of what we grew up watching and how you played the game?
It's different. Good luck to all those parents and high school kids that are going through college. You can have great experiences and you want to get your education, the memories that you can take place and hope to be a part of a team that can play for a championship and compete and have a coach that you can look back one day like Bobby Bowden and say, that's a man of integrity. That was my coach. That was my team. And things are different now. It's, everything's instantaneous from social media. How the portal's interesting. You can say great things about it. You can say negative things about it. The NIL thing, I don't believe in NIL. Like I said, I believe in the collective. And so I don't know. I wish there was a set guideline that they could take place on this thing. But now you're getting kids in high school. You start transferring in middle school if you're a quarterback to get yourself set up for high school. And so it's real. You have an agent coming out of high school sometimes, a handler. I wish there would be some guidelines on this thing. And, they never – I think they put the cart before the horse on this one. So good luck to all those making the decisions. And it's a tough things for kids to go through. But at the end of the day, you want those kids to have a great experience, great relationship with their coaches, get your education, get your degree, then hopefully, you can get your dreams come true as far as what you perform on the field and hopefully get a shot at the pros.
What kind of sports dad are you?
Growing up, I was fortunate with my dad actually got to coach me in all my leagues, baseball, football, basketball, and those kind of things. And I was blessed to do the same thing with both my boys, Max and Jake, coached them in all the sports, all the way through, youth football, all the way through middle school and high school. And so it's pretty cool to do that. Now I'm just a dad sitting in the stands eating popcorn.
Are you nervous?
And I don't know if I'm nervous. I can't yell down there and say, "Hey, here's the blitz and here's what's coming." You know what I mean? There's A&M. There's 180,000 people there.
Yeah.
Now both kids are in North Carolina, but no, you're excited for your kids because they worked hard, they're prepared, and you just want it to be be coached in the right way and those kind of things, and just let them blaze their own path. So I can't really say I'm nervous. I'm kind of excited for them, I know they've done the work and trust in that.
You know, when they show these parents in the stands, and I have a son that's a 15-year-old baseball player, not nearly at the level of your kids, but I get nervous when he's at bat. Just for him, I want him to succeed. And you'll see some of these shots of parents in the stands, and they look like they're about to throw up. They're so nervous. But they've shown you in the stands a few times before too. You look excited when they do well, but you don't ever look like, oh my God, he's about to vomit on that person in front of him.
Well, I like to just sit right beside my wife. Okay, we sit right by, shoulder to shoulder, and I wear these big headphones with my little radio on there, and because I like to listen to the commentators and kind of what's going on in the game. And
old school, that's old school right there.
I wear the big headphones. You know what I mean? I don't know how to download anything. I got this little AM, FM radio that I listen to. So, but you know, that's the way I listen to the game. We're nudging each other the whole time and those kind of things, but. You know, sometimes you got to cover up your mouth because you might say something. You know, I got caught one time, but it does happen. But you just want good for all the kids on the team. Yeah. You know, the work level they put into it's a lot. And there is a lot at stake every time those kids go out there on that field. But at the end of the day, you want them to live out their dream, blaze their own path, and do their own thing. And so for us, it's really strange. As you know, one's a quarterback, one's a receiver. A tight end, and so you're just. You almost become, you know, how was your day? Good day, bad day. You become a psychologist at times. You know what I mean? How do you deal with this? This one just had a great day. This one had a tough day. This one, the coach yelled at, and this one is praised. And then, you know, and then deal with all the social media part of it. That's a whole different deal too. Right. So, but you just want to be there to support your kids, and that's what we try to do.
We've kept you way too long. I got one last question for me, Brad. Just back to that Super Bowl game. You know, obviously Michigan came under fire into their path to a national championship because of their sort of system of figuring out signs and things of that nature. You guys did it the right way, the legal way, the ethical way. Your head coach, John Gruden, obviously came from Oakland. Bill Callahan took over. That was his offensive line coach. Were you ever more prepared, ever more confident going into a game, oddly enough, than the Super Bowl?
Yeah, it's a great thing you bring up. So a lot of people said we knew their plays. Because of Gruden, you know, what's interesting for them, they had Gruden for 4 years. Yeah, they knew our plays better than we knew them because we were in the first year of learning them. So, but with John Gruden, he was unbelievable. When you came into meetings every day, like his hair was on fire. You were always prepared for what's next. The moment was never too big because the pressure he applied in pressure and practice. And so I love playing for Gruden. And he had us, you know, he spurred on the defense as much as he did the offense for us. And we had great coaches on there. So I love playing for Gruden. He got you prepared like no other. And so the Super Bowl was kind of, for us, it was kind of anticlimactic because us beating Philadelphia in the vet, the last game of the season, our nemesis, that was probably as big as anything to us, beating Philadelphia on the road in the vet and then playing the Super Bowl after that.
Cold weather game.
That was where you won it, right?
Yeah, we played Philadelphia 5 games at 19-game stretch. Yeah. And 2 of those were in the playoffs and how the games went. And, man, great team, great coaches and all that kind of stuff. But beating them, they were our nemesis, and beating them was like that propelled us to do what we did in the Super Bowl.
Brad, I have a quick trivia question before we go. Do you know your longest career rush in the NFL, how long it was?
I do. I believe it's 28 yards.
There you go. What happened?
It was actually it was 3rd and 4, and they had 2 wide 3 techniques. The guards were kind of like wide. I'm like, holy smokes. So I actually checked to a QB sneak on 3rd and 4, and it kind of surprised everybody. And I ended up running for 28 yards, and I'm running, and I'm like, please, somebody tackle me because I did not feel good in space. Right. So that was my longest run.
And are you still were you the last player to throw a touchdown to yourself? Are you still the only player that's done that? You did do that, right?
I did do it 1997. I believe it was 97. Yeah. Touchdown pass, touchdown catch myself. And then later, Marcus Mariota did it with the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, man. Come on.
So we kind of did. So, but it was pretty cool to say you're the first.
Yeah, and,
right. When it happened, we did not have a clue what it was. We didn't know. And then the next day we found out it was 12 points in fantasy football.
I was going to say that's a big fantasy. That's a big fantasy play where you throw it in, catch it. So the guy deflected it. You used your athleticism to catch it and go house it in the end zone.
That was the remake of The Longest Yard. So
yeah, sure.
And it actually ended up winning an ESPY for Play of the Year that year. So it's pretty cool.
And the Noles play North Carolina this year, correct?
Yeah. Actually, played down in Tallahassee. So
no, I'm not going to be dumb. I know you root for your sons. Family trumps everything. I'm not going to ask you that.
Yeah.
But will you go to some of your old haunts when you're down here? I don't know how often you get back to go to Tallahassee, but I assume you're looking forward to that trip just to go down memory lane a little bit.
Yeah, I actually came back. I've been back a few times. Been back for a couple of basketball reunions. Was just down there about 2 weeks ago.
That's right.
And man, got so many great friends and stuff all down there. So yeah, we'll definitely be down there. I'll be dressed in blue this time. The one time. But man, I'm listen. I went to school there at Florida State for 5 years. Lived in Tallahassee for 15 years after that.
Right.
And then our kids were born in Tallahassee. So I mean, I just can't tell you the impact of just that decision for me to come to Florida State as a high school kid out of Black Mountain, North Carolina, was the best decision I made in my life, because I wasn't just choosing a school. I chose a place where to play for Coach Bowden and Coach Rick was like men of integrity, and just thankful for everything that Tallahassee and those people and the people of Tallahassee and people of Florida State have given me over the years.
Brad Johnson, y'all. 2 sports stand at Florida State, Super Bowl champion. Thanks so much for taking time out. This got to be one of the best weeks of the year for you, I imagine, right? Everyone,
it's pretty cool.
It
just makes you pinch yourself like, golly, that was us. We got to go through that. And you're excited for those quarterbacks, because it's when somebody's going to win it, they're not going to sleep for 3 days going through the parade and going through what it kind of brings to their career. And it's just so hard to get there. There's only 34 quarterbacks that have won it. There's only 30 that are living. And so it'll be interesting to see one of those 2 guys, what's going to happen for them.
That's a great fraternity to be in, man. That's like people that walked on the moon. Like, that's a very rare population to be a part of. There's only 30 of you guys still around. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, think about there's more Kentucky Derby winners. There's more guys that have won the Masters, more presidents, more guys. I mean, it's a small club to be a part of. So it's pretty awesome.
Find him on social, everybody. Big Bad Brad 14 on TikTok. we're gonna wait for that 5 trick shot Danzia.
It's crazy. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen this week. It is nuts. So the social media, the Instagram and Twitter, that's Brad_Johnson _14, and the Big Bad Brad 14's on TikTok. But it's wild. So have fun with it.
Thank you, Brad.
So much. I appreciate it, guys. Thank y'all.
MyBookie.ag, promo code WARCHANT. Gets you an instant cash deposit bonus when you sign up for the first time over at MyBookie.ag. Big game this weekend, y'all. Niners Chiefs. 2 points the spread. Niners favored, which, I don't know, man. I'm rooting for the Niners, but I want to be mad if the Chiefs won. Taylor Swift and everything. 47.5 total points. Just feel like that's stinky, kind of like the Niners are favored by 2. Like who would bet against Patrick Mahomes? His defense looks great. They're the underdogs. I feel like you almost have to lean into the stink, right? And say that the Niners are going to win. I feel like that's what they're trying to get us to do, but I don't know. I mean, they want to get in your minds and mess with it, but you know better, so make your pick. MyBookie.ag, promo code is WARCHANT. That promo requires a $50 minimum deposit and a rollover requirement of one-time deposit total, including your bonus for withdrawal. For full terms and conditions, visit mybookie.ag/about-us. All right, that is a wrap for us. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks so much to Brad. That was awesome. I literally was like, hey, man, it's 10, 15 minutes on the podcast. And then, 25, 35, and it's like 40 minutes of it. He's awesome. Follow him on social, Brad_Johnson_14, or Big Bad Brad 14 on the TikTok. That's it for us. Very abrupt. Sorry about that. We'll have a mailbag maybe posted on Wednesday night, Thursday morning. We'll take tomorrow off, but we'll be working. We're going to do all these interviews later today, so that'll be up on the website. But we're going to speak to a whole bunch of guys on Thursday as well, so we'll do a show on Thursday after we're done talking to all these kids. It'll be about like 10 kids almost we've spoken to, and we'll put a show together. Maybe some mailbag, maybe not, depending on how inspiring the comments and quotes from these young men are. Go to warchant.com. Subscribe, everybody. You're missing out. Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 3 o'clock. For Corey, I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.